got to have respect for the ocean. The ocean has physical forces that are totally indifferent to your sub or yourself, and so you've got to be really respectful of the wind, the waves, the cold, the current, and these pressures that bend steel. This is a very difficult environment to operate in, and that's why we have these subs. But it's challenging, and it's always changing. I remember clearly my first dive to the Titanic was in a French government research vessel, Nautile, and we left the surface, and gravity pulls you down. You don't drive down to the Titanic. You fill the ballast chambers with water, and you kind of drift down through the depth, and that's to conserve your power on the so that you've got it on the power on the bottom, and it takes roughly about 2.5 hours, depending on currents and so on, to get to the bottom. And you drift down through on the top. You're in the Gulf Stream, fairly warm water, and then you get down into the Labrador Current, which is quite a bit colder, and then you're there. And the beauty of the drift is that you look out the viewport and you see this kind of microscopic world, utter darkness, and this microscopic world of creatures that are pulsing, and so it's like going to another planet. It's a wonderful descent visually, and it's very quiet.
Goodness.
So that's how you get there.
I can almost imagine the appeal of going down as you describe it, but it wouldn't be for everyone. I mean, apart from anything else, Joe, you were stuck on the wreck at one point in one of your descents.
We had a short issue, but again, just to come back to what you just said, you go down to do meaningful work. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Which we were doing. We were doing the first on the time we got stuck. We were doing the first scientific studies of the wreck, biological, geological studies, and what happened was on the last of our 17 dives on this expedition that I co-led. We stopped, and on the pilot house floor, the roof and the walls had been sheared away during the descent of the ship, and the left landing skid, the pilot couldn't see it, but it slid under a tangle of wire. And after our time on the bottom, when it was time to go up, we tried to go up and couldn't, and quickly realized that we needed help, and so we called in the second Mir submersible, these two Russian research subs, beautifully operated, beautifully designed, and that pilot talked to our pilot, and they were very, very cool and calm, and he helped us get out of that tough situation.
I mean, just how did that happen, Joe? Were you somehow nudged? Were you towed? How were you disentangled?
Oh no! It as I say, when our pilot landed, that kind of left side landing skid just went under the tangle of wire, and so he just needed some directions in terms of how to back up, move to the right, move to the left, and then get us free.
Right.
We had that second pilot, that second sub self-rescue capability, so we were very fortunate.
Yes. I mean, all my questions are coming from a position of ignorance, so in some way forgive the naivety of it, but we don't know where the sub is. If there's a possibility that the missing submersible is in some way entangled in the wreckage, we know where the wreckage is. Would it not be possible to send a submersible down to look?
I think that's what they're aiming to do. They're going to they've got an ROV apparently on scene, which is a remotely operated vehicle. It'll be tethered to the surface, so that the men on the surface, the team on the surface, can guide that ROV around wherever they want to. The bow section, the debris field in between the stern section and the bow, but it's a big area. It's not. It's that debris field itself is half a mile in length, and so it's going to take time, and that's what we're all worried about is the timing.
I mean, it takes nerve from everything I hear from you, everything I've read or seen. It takes nerve to contemplate a descent like this. No doubt exciting if you are of that cast of mind, but in some ways quite daunting.
Yeah, it's both. It's right. It's very exciting, very daunting. You've got to have respect for the ocean. The ocean has physical forces that are totally indifferent to your sub or yourself, and so you've got to be really respectful of the wind, the waves, the cold, the current, and these pressures that bend steel. This is a very difficult environment to operate in, and that's why we have these subs. But it's challenging, and it's always changing.